This is Jeopardy! Please welcome our contestant. Player one. And now, here is the host of Jeopardy, Alex Trebek.
Thanks, Johnny. Welcome to Jeopardy, everyone. Good luck to you in the Jeopardy round. For this game, the categories are as follows. TV nostalgia. Turn, turn, turn. The New Testament. Play along. Official state things. And state borders. Player one, you start us off. A childhood chum or a line of coolers from Igloo. Yes, player one? Right. We return to you, player one, to treat something as less important. Yes, player one? Right. Player one, back to you for our next selection. Beastly boisterous behavior. Okay, player one? Right you are. You get to pick again, player one. Alan Ball and Bud Schulberg came up with great ones. Let's hear it, player one. Right.
Yeah! Woo!
Player one, you pick again, please. This publication has been serving theater since 1884. Here's the correct response. Playbill. Player one, pick again. Jesus grew up in this town in the southern part of Galilee. Okay, player one. That's not right. Here's the correct response. Nazareth. Player one, choose again. In Luke, this angel told Zacharias that his wife Elizabeth would bear a son, and thou shalt call him John. Let's hear it, player one. Hey, you're right.
Yeah! Woo!
Please pick again, player one. The book of John records him as saying, "Except I shall see in his hands the print of the nails, I will not believe." Let's hear it, player one. That's correct. Player one, choose again. Jesus was referring to this fisherman when he said, "Upon this rock I will build my church." Player one?
Yeah!
Yep. Player one, back to you. On the road to Damascus, this future epistle writer was asked by Jesus, "Why persecutest thou me?" Okay, player one. Is correct. Player one, you pick again, please. In an animated 1987 TV special, this space-age family traveled back in time to meet the Flintstones. Let's hear it, player one. Yes. Select again. In the pilot for this 60s sitcom, Jed and Jethro first meet Mr. Drysdale when he comes to get them out of jail. Okay, player one. Hey, you're right. Player one, you pick again, please. The 1973 TV season gave us Richard Roundtree as this super cool private eye he'd played on film. Here's the correct response. Shaft. You get to pick again, player one. According to his theme song, Mr. This will never speak unless he has something to say. Here's what we wanted. Ed. You again, player one. In the 50s, this movie Tarzan was still hanging out with a chimp, but he wore more than a loincloth as TV's Jungle Jim. Here's what we were looking for. Johnny Weissmuller. We return to you, player one. Of the Four Corners states, This is the southwestern one. Okay, player one. Sorry, that's wrong. Here's the response we were looking for. Arizona. Select again. You probably know what's on North Dakota's southern border. On its western border is this state. It's player one. No, that's not right. Here's what we wanted. Montana. You again, player one. You'll find this state on Kansas's northern border. Here's the correct response. Nebraska. Player one, choose again. Delaware's southern border is with this state. Here's the correct response. Maryland. Player one, back to you for our next selection. It's the number of states that border the Gulf of Mexico. Here's the response we were looking for. 5. You get to pick again, player one. Like a loon's, a tern's feet have this feature. Yet terns are not notable swimmers. Let's hear it, player one. Good for you. Player one, pick again. The sooty tern is about 16 inches long, with a white forehead, and is otherwise this color above and white below. The correct response is black. You again, player one. Answer. It's the Daily Double. You are in the lead right now. How much are you going to wager, player one? Here is your Daily Double clue. This geographic tern's 20,000-mile trip gives it the longest migration of any bird. Sorry, that's wrong. Here's the correct response. The Arctic tern. We return to you, player one. Terns eat insects, small fish, and this type of arthropod whose name comes from the Latin for hard-shelled ones. Okay, player one. Oh, sorry. Here's the response we were looking for. Crustaceans. Player one, back to you. Named for the sea between Southeast Europe and Asia, this 21-inch long bird is one of the largest kinds of tern. Yes, player one? That's not it. Here's the response we were looking for. The Caspian tern. Player one, you pick again, please. It reigns as West Virginia's official state butterfly. Yes, player one?
Yeah.
Right you are. Player one, choose again. When Virginia got a state one of these animals, the governor's office released a poem that mentioned Adam West. Here's the correct response. A bat. You get to pick again, player one. Sounds scary, but Colorado's official state fish is the greenback cutthroat type of this. Here's what we wanted. The trout. We return to you, player one. The syringa, also known as the mock orange, is Idaho's official state this. Here's what we wanted. A flower. And the last clue for $1,000. Appropriately, the official state cantata of Connecticut has this spicy name. Here's what we were looking for. Nutmeg. The Double Jeopardy round will begin right after this. We start the Double Jeopardy categories with this one. P is for physics. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and Museum. Medieval Europe. Adjectives. The Bible. Notice the quotation marks on the B. And archipelagos. All right, if you're ready, it's double Jeopardy time. Her first husband was the Hittite Uriah. David was second. Yes, player one? Yep.
Yeah! Woo!
Player one, back to you for our next selection. The chief god of the Canaanites. We're talking about Baal. You again, player one. The youngest son of Jacob and Rachel. Okay, player one.
Yeah!
That's it. You get to pick again, player one. He traveled with Paul to spread Jesus' teachings until they disagreed and separated. Okay, player one. Good. Select again. It's at his feast that Daniel interprets the writing on the wall. Okay, player one. Yes. We return to you, player one. It's the P in P equals force times velocity. Let's hear it, player one.
Yeah!
Right. Player one, choose again. This element, Pu, was first detected in a cyclotron at Berkeley in 1940. Yes, player one? Good. Player one, you pick again, please. A cube is an example of a rectangular one of these. A Pink Floyd cover displays a triangular one. Okay, player one? Yep. Player one, back to you. Answer. The first of the two daily doubles. And you're in the lead now. You need to select your wager. Here is your daily double clue. The bob of a simple one of these moves with simple periodic motion. That's right. Way to go. We return to you, player one. It's an elementary light particle, also called a fuzzy ball. Here's what we were looking for, a photon. Player one, back to you for our next selection. Here's Kelly, she'll show you.
Bodiam Castle in Sussex was built during the 100 Years' War to defend England from this foe.
Here's what we were looking for, France. You get to pick again, player one. St. Augustine established himself in this city as the first Archbishop of the English Church. The correct response is Canterbury. We return to you, player one. In the 1177 Peace of Venice, Frederick I, nicknamed this for his red beard, acknowledged Alexander III as Pope. Here's what we wanted, Barbarossa. Player one, back to you for our next selection. We're in love with the medieval French literary work called This of the Rose. Here's the correct response, the Romance. Player one, choose again. This dynasty of Frankish kings ruled France from 751 to 987. Here's the correct response, the Carolingian dynasty. Please pick again, player one. Sitka is the largest city in this state's Alexander Archipelago. Here's the response we were looking for, Alaska. Player one, back to you. In 1965, the Cook Islands became self-governing in free association with this country that provides for their defense. Here's the correct response, New Zealand. Player one, pick again. This Scottish archipelago is famous not only for its ponies, but also for a breed of dog. Let's hear it, player one. You are correct. Player 1, you pick again, please. Nancy, the other daily double. You are in the lead right now. What are you going to wager? The clue. This Pacific Island country is named for a British sea captain, not Happy Days producer Gary. Yeah, good. Player 1, choose again. This Portuguese archipelago once served as a stop for the treasure galleons returning to Spain from America. Here's what we were looking for. The Azores. Player 1, back to you for our next selection. This adjective precedes grace in the name of a hymn. Player 1. Good for you. Player 1, back to you for our next selection. From the Latin for falling down, it's used to describe a tree that sheds its leaves annually. Let's hear it, Player 1. That is correct. Please pick again, Player 1. From the Latin for flowing, it means able to speak or write smoothly as a foreign language. Let's hear it, Player 1. Yes. Player 1, choose again. This adjective that means weirdly frightening comes from the Old English for cowardly. Let's hear it, Player 1. That is correct.
Yeah! Woo!
Select again. This 10-letter adjective, meaning extraordinarily great in size, comes from the Latin for to shake. Player 1. Is correct.
Yeah! Woo!
You again, Player 1. This singer is paired with her ex-husband and songwriting partner, Jerry Goffin. Here's the correct response. Carole King. Select again. As a solo artist, his presenters were ex-bandmates, not the Beatles, but the Traveling Wilburys. Here's the response we were looking for. George Harrison. Player 1, back to you. In 1986, it was Hail, Hail, this 1950s performer, the very first inductee. Here's the correct response. Chuck Berry. Select again. Artists become eligible this many years after their first release. The Beach Boys went in 1988. Springsteen in 1999. Here's what we wanted. 25. And now the $2,000 clue. Here's Sarah with the clue.
The electric guitar casts a long shadow over rock and roll. In 1995, the Hall inducted this inventor of the iconic Stratocaster.
The correct response is Leo Fender. Looks like you'll be moving on to Final Jeopardy after this commercial break. Here's the Final Jeopardy category. Children's Lit. Please enter your wager. Now it's time for the Final Jeopardy clue, and here it is. This Roald Dahl book begins, "These two very old people are the father and mother of Mr. Bucket." What did you say? And this correct response will add how much to your score? Player 1, congratulations to you. We'll see you all next time.